the meeting to order. Officially, the balloting period has now stopped. Closed, I'm sorry. First thing let's do is say the Pledge of Allegiance. Yeah? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. At this time, I want to turn the meeting over to Denise. She's the election committee chairman, and we'll continue. Go ahead.
Okay, well, actually, we need Mary to make an announcement, and then we'll go from there. Okay.
Good morning. It's been a long, hard haul, and we have tried as much as we could, but we are 33 ballots short of meeting our quota. We needed 3/4 of the membership, or 440 more votes, to go forward with this amendment. So the board will tell you what we're going to do now.
Okay, so what Davis Sterling allows for is an extension of the voting. So the board has gotten together, we voted, and we made the decision we're going to extend the ballot voting until the 23rd, or the 23rd of September will be our next meeting in here at this forum. I'll be putting out a statement to that effect in constant contact and posting it right behind Stephanie there where the yellow bullet board is. So everything will still remain in place. If those people get their ballots in, sign the yellow envelope and everything they're supposed to, you will still be able to get in the drawing for the vote. We've got 409
plus 2 today, so that's
411. So we have 411 votes in. There's 411 people that deserve to have their votes counted. The board has no intention of, it's what you guys want, and that's why we put this out for vote, because you indicated you wanted a change possibly. So my goal is just to get 444 ballots, not what the outcome is, nor does the board care, okay? Okay, so moving on.
May I say something, please?
No, well, at the end, please.
I think it's about the...
Joe, at the end.
We still have the same rules in place of any meeting we have. The board will present what they have to present, and then we'll open it up briefly for comments at the very end. So I want to thank Mary and her group and everybody that helped try to call. We did the best we can, and we're hoping to get a few more votes in the next few weeks, which I actually think we can. Talk to your neighbors, talk to your friends. If they haven't voted, please encourage them to. We're doing everything we can to make it as easy as we can to get this vote in. Okay? So that's where we are there. The next item on the agenda, I'm sure many of you are aware that on August 7th, the board received a letter from Mr. Joe Caspino, owner, demanding that the board place the architecture guidelines up for election pursuant to the Davis Sterling Act. Enclosed with the letter was a petition containing 39 signatures in support of a vote. The letter did not specifically state which architecture guideline rule was the subject of the petition. Therefore, the board had to assume that the petition is related to the additional rule of 541 of the water softeners, which was the only paragraph that was changed in the architecture guidelines. Please be advised that since the board has received that letter and petition, 12 owners have requested their signatures be removed from the petition, and one owner inadvertently signed twice for the same lot, so that vote didn't count. Therefore, the petition does not meet the 5% threshold under the Davis Sterling Act, required to call a special meeting and vote of the owners. Given that the petition does not meet that, we will not have to vote on it, and the rule became effective August 25th, 2017. So, that's where we are. Mike, do you want to open it up for...
Yes, we can open up now for discussion. Let's try to stay on topic with the election, please.
Okay,
If you can speak up, so...
I will. Okay, the first thing that I'd like to say is that this is the first time, I understand the board doesn't care how that vote came out, but we've never before extended the voting period. Never before have we called people and asked them to turn in ballots. So I'm a little curious as to why the board feels it's so important to pass that. I know you said that we voted on that straw ballot, but I just want to put that out to the membership that's here. Secondly, the double vote that you're talking about was Ralph Armstrong, and he owns 2 lots.
Nope, Nancy signed one and Ralph signed for both lots. That's 3 votes for 2
Okay,
lots, ma'am.
you're right, okay, I
Thank you.
figured that out. We'll have to do that petition again.
If you can't do it again,
It's too late.
done.
Yes, we can.
You do it
My
anytime.
feeling is, and I want membership to hear this, there's not very many of us here, so I ask that you please share this with those that you know that isn't here. I believe that the board has the right to change the architectural guidelines. That's in the Davis Sterling, it's in our CCNRs, it's in our bylaws. They're perfectly, they have that right. But I do not believe they have the right to change something that affects all of us financially. And by this requirement of these new soft water softeners, it's going to change all of your finances, because now you pay $40 for the phosphorus and you put it in your water softeners. If you sign up with one of these vendors, then you're going to have to pay a monthly fee that is going to range from $30 to $70. And I just don't think that the board, 5 members, can put that economic responsibility on 592. That's
Okay.
why I worked with Joe.
Okay, time's up.
Kay, I'd just like to say that we're not telling you you have to remove them. We're saying that when they break down.
Same difference, Fred.
Okay, well,
Same
that could
difference.
be, somebody who just installed one yesterday before this thing closed can keep theirs for 8 to 10 years before they even have to do it. And if it's $40 a month for you to do that, and they're charging 30 to 70, you really haven't changed the amount monthly that you've put in.
Yes,
We're
you
also
have.
not mandating you have a water softener.
I understand that, but
Right.
we all
We're
know
just-
you can't live here without one.
No, you can't. People
Actually, a
do.
lot
I
of people do.
I don't have one. I've lived here for going on 2 years and I don't have a water softener.
And the rest of us,
There are options to what you can
You'll-
do.
Stand
We'll have
up,
to-
Jen, stand up.
Yeah, you were first. You'll go after.
Just to address Kate specifically, I signed up for Culligan this last week. It is not financially burdensome at all. I had to pay $99 up front to sign up, to get them
For
to
the
put it in, for the install. Then it's going to be $45 a month. And the first 3 months, I only have to pay $10. So therefore, I get more than my $99 back. So it's free to sign up and then some, and it's $45 a month, not $70. And I don't know if it's cheaper than my adding the potassium to it, but it's a heck of a lot easier to not have to add the potassium. And I will say, the water is better. In the time that I've had it, I noticed a difference, and it's better, just FYI.
Bob Gaston, lot 407. So I sat at the meeting where the water quality came up. I was concerned because I have one of those softeners I bought with the lot. So I'm equally concerned about cost, but I'm more concerned about viability long-term of the water and what we're doing damage to the aquifer. So I guess my suggestion, maybe it's already been done, is maybe the board or a vendor could give a proposal for a discount. If we have to do that, maybe it's a discounted preferred vendor, and maybe it's not $45 a month. Maybe it's some a price lower than that.
We have talked to several vendors.
Anyone do it?
They're as low as they're gonna go. Yep.
Is that the only option, Colin?
No, there are other options. That's
You
just.
can buy systems, there's other companies that own, you can deal with. I signed with Culligan yesterday, they're coming out with a new line, and I felt as a board member, it's my obligation to set a good example and get rid of my software.
Oh, yeah, I think I
And all that crap, all that stuff I'm putting into our sewage system with the salt and everything, we gotta stop doing that, and that's the big picture.
And I'm not a full-timer, so now I use
And
the water here,
that's fine, yeah.
I'm still concerned, but
Well,
if Colligan is a preferred vendor, I'd like to just.
It was with me, I did some research, and that's who I chose.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's other companies available.
Yeah, there's Rain and a few others also that are out there.
Is there something the board can put out and say, here are your options?
I think they did,
Yeah.
right?
I did it on
Yeah.
Rancho Happening.
And
Okay.
and
I'll
was
agree
the
with that.
But
there
I
was-
think it was-
Thank you.
Contract that came out with the list.
yeah, there was the email
The other issue is, even if you're gone, your water softener is still working and it's still cleansing and it's still putting salt into the septic tanks.
I usually bypass it though, when I
It's
do
not
that.
putting salt
You
in
can
the
turn up,
septic
if you can
tanks.
bypass it, that'd be great. A lot of people don't even think about that, so.
Well, since we're on water softeners, this is the latest study put out by the water quality.
Joe, we can't hear you with your back turned.
Sorry, talking to the board. This is the latest survey put out by the Water Quality Research Foundation and the National Science Foundation. It's very thick. I'll just read part of it here that counts. And it says here, the data indicates the use of efficiently operated water softeners at or above 3,000 grains per pound of salt efficiency improves septic system performance, while the use of very inefficient home softeners at or below 1,000 grains per pound of salt efficiency has a negative effect on solid discharge in the drain field.
We can't understand you. Take the
Okay,
gum out.
so-
Take the gum out.
Oh, okay. So anyway, what it amounts to is that water softeners with 3,000 grains per pound of salt efficiency, and this, they're talking about salt, by the way, not the other stuff, which is better, by the way, than salt. At or above salt efficiency improves septic system performance. Now, I looked at mine. I didn't know any of this at all. I have a water softener, it's a GE. My water softener has 5,000 grains per pound. So actually, it is far more efficient in this than the 3,000 grains per pound. I don't know what each of you have, if you have salt or water softeners that you bought, how efficient it is, but it's right in the specifications of the water softener, okay? In other words, when it lists it, operated by 110 volts and this and this and this and this and this, and it will tell you how many grains per pound of salt efficiency that water softener is. So my suggestion would be that instead of just saying you outlaw all water softeners, you put in one that says that you outlaw grains per pound of salt efficiency of less than 3,000 grains per pound efficiency.
We haven't outlawed water softeners. In that statement you just read right there, it just said the basic home purchase water softeners are less. So apparently the Lowe's, Home Depot styles are apparently not up to grade.
Well, all I know is I
And
bought
that's the
one.
ones that
All
were
I know
actually-
is I bought one that is 5,000.
You
So
have,
don't
you
take
have
yours.
a different one than the ones that you bought at Home Depot.
Well, I
So-
agree with you, 100%.
And those are the ones that were basically saying you
Well,
can't
there,
have.
I agree with you 100%.
Joe,
But you have outlawed all water softeners.
I came over to your house and looked at all your research. I looked at all your research, and the problem is, even the more efficient ones, the low ones that pollute less, they still pollute. There's some really bad ones, there's some not so bad ones. All of them pollute though. And that's the problem with what you're
It says
saying.
here the data indicates
Joe, your
the
time's
use of
up.
efficiently operated water softeners.
Joe, why don't you make that available to everyone
gonna
who
get
cares
this
to
to
see
you.
it?
I'm
Okay.
gonna give it to you.
No, we don't want it.
You don't want it? No. You want it?
Okay.
Joe, I saw it already.
Can I make one comment? I have had a couple of people concerned about, for instance, Culligan was the name brought up, because they think that all of their outside water will now have to have soft water. That's inaccurate. I have a Culligan system and I have 2 spigots outside that are not soft water to do any plant watering, minimal, whatever we needed to do. So you do not have to have the entire everything on soft water if you don't want to. I chose not to. I can still fill a bucket of water and go wash my golf cart with regular well water if I choose to.
Besides, the salt water will kill the grass, kill your plants.
So does the potassium chloride.
So-
Right now, I have a URP on my tree to let everyone know that I am installing an ionic water treatment system,
Good deal.
which does not use any chemicals whatsoever. It did cost me $1,300, a one-time purchase. After 2 years, the thing is paid for. It's gonna last another 10 years after that, at zero expense. I think our concern with the water softeners is the water testing that's being done on our septic tanks. The tests are coming with worse and worse results. We decided that the best way to attack this is to treat it, or is to attack it from the front end and control what goes into the septic tanks. And salt is no friend of septic tanks. They do not like each other. If we don't take care of our septic tanks, our water quality is going to go downhill. Our freshwater levels are going down. Tests have shown that. Our, whatever the particles in the septic tanks are going up because the salt is killing the bacteria that's in our septic tanks. This is good bacteria. It's just like in your own body. You have good and you have bad bacteria. This is good bacteria that is dying, and septic tanks are suffering because of it. This is an oasis.
Sorry, we have somebody else already got their hand up.
Okay.
Okay.
You already got this.
Make my comment back in the room if that's all right.
Well, the guys behind you can't hear you, I'm sorry.
I don't know whether you heard, whether you feel that this is a financial burden. And we're outlawing, like it's been said, we're outlawing water softeners. We're not. We took the middle of the road approach to this. Those who have water softeners may keep their water softeners. You just cannot switch it out at any point in time and put in the same salt-based water softener. You have to do something different. Only when your current water softener breaks down, or when you sell your lot. We're not going to allow a water softener to be on the lot at the time that you sell it. Other than that, there's no impact on any of it. No financial impact, nothing.
So I only have one quick thought for those who are very mindful of cost, and that is that every water softener that I know of that you purchase outside of the resort and the old Culligan systems that use potassium all have to be plugged in. I could be corrected on that, but I believe they all use electricity. I have no way of knowing how you quantify that, but by having the old style water softeners, you are increasing your electric bill.
I have two more brief comments, and I made these when it first came out about the water softeners. This is an email that I received from John Klein, who spent his career as a geologist for the U.S. government. So I think he has qualifications. And he says how water softeners and nitrates got commingled is something I don't understand unless someone was trying to make some money at our expense. Nitrate is not a part of the natural environment. It results from septic effluent, which over time will connect with the groundwater resource. I assume the early septic tanks were not able to handle the load, and therefore the end product from a septic tank field was loaded with nitrate. That is speculation, since there have been no detailed studies to document what happened over time. Studies like this are expensive. They involve drilling a test hole. He goes on to explain this. A poorly functioning septic field will not have a denitrifying bacteria, and nitrate will pass into the groundwater and then into our wells. So, according to a geologist, the water softeners have nothing to do with the nitrates. I also have a copy of the official water testing report that was done by the gentleman that is hired by the HOA to test water every month. The last time that he tested for nitrates, for total dissolved solids, which is what the board is concerned about, was September 24th, 2013. It hasn't been tested for 4 years.
We'd also like to add to that he did say that it's a very costly thing to do, and that it's only required to do once every 6 years unless we want to pay for it, which is highly costly. So unless we, as a group, want to pitch in to pay for these testing things to be done yearly or every other year, however it goes, then we can do that. But it's only required to do once every 6 years.
But you're making a decision based on his water report and his recommendation.
It's a state regulation that he even came up, that didn't come up with, that he even said that it was a once every 6 year thing, but if we
No,
want
but
to.
I mean, we're using this report.
Okay,
Okay, he has
Give me
nothing in it.
one in the back.
He tells us, he makes suggestions, yes, we listen to him. He's a smart guy. In the meeting that we had, talking about water softeners, we came out immediately and said we made a mistake about the nitrates. However, people still wanted to go and talk about all the study they did on nitrates. Nitrates are not the problem. All these studies you're reading is a septic system with one water softener. I ask anybody to know how many water softeners are actually going into your septic tank. How many lots are fed to each septic tank? That changes the numbers completely, changes the values completely, and water softeners have not been an issue in the past, and nobody's going to like what I'm about to say, but it's the truth. They're a problem now because we are excessively full-timing in this resort. And the problem is even if you're not full-timing, you're renting out your lot. And when you rent out your lot, you bring in somebody that really is not as water conscious, infrastructure conscious. They're throwing down baby wipes, they're doing everything. You don't know if they're putting salt, potassium, or whatever in the water softeners. That's why if we go to a closed system that has to be changed out, that's being monitored for us. We are trying to band-aid the infrastructure we have now because we, as a resort, have violated the CUP and the CCNRs by enormous numbers.
Right.
And all we're doing is trying to keep from having to put in $1 million systems. That's why we're starting with this. Nothing's been outlawed. Nothing's been taken away from you. All we're saying is to help the resort, when your unit goes out, or if you sell the lot, change to the approved system that contains it and doesn't put the contaminants or the bad bacteria, as Bob said, into the septic system. We're trying to work with you. And then as far as the comment about how can we financially burden the resort, guess what? If we have to raise the dues, these are the people we elected. If the dues have to go up,
No, there's only 2 that we elected.
that's not true. Denise was elected, Bob was elected,
3.
and so was Mike Gephardt.
You're right.
So that's the majority. They were elected by the people. And if you want to say lack of options, well, then run. Get up and do it yourself and see how much fun it is. So again, they're trying to band-aid the resort without spending. You think you're being financially struck right now? Wait till we have to put in a multi-million-dollar water system. That doesn't get paid for by itself. So again, they don't have to pass it to a vote to increase the dues if that's what's needed for the resort. Therefore, they shouldn't have to take it to a vote to have to change out a water softener or change a rule to help the infrastructure so we that are breaking the rules continue to break the rules. If you want to fix it, go back to the CUP because that's what this infrastructure was set up to be lived in. You're supposed to be out 160 days out of the year. And that doesn't mean you fill it with a renter. That's what's killing our infrastructure. We're trying to band-aid it and come up with ways to improve that without having to reinvent the wheel. Thank you. Anybody else?
You've already talked once.
Can I talk again?
Just make it short.
It's not a continuation.
I take some issue with the voting.
Joe didn't have
Joe.
But I take issue with the voting on this. And I know the attorneys approved the voting and everything else, but one of the things that I looked at was
Voting on what?
12.2.7 of the, our CCNRs, which is the voting in regard to changing the RVs that are allowed in this particular park. This was written by ORA, if you remember right. We have never changed the CCNRs. And ORA had a situation whereby they did not want any changes to the RVs that were allowed by ORA into this park to to buy lots. Why? Because number one, Class C motorhomes and trailers far outnumber Class A or B, Class A motorhomes. So therefore, their voting, their power to buy lots was greatly increased by not changing that. In the beginning, they had Class A's, Class C's, trailers, and everything else in here, okay? And that was the reason for this change right here. Now, the Class A membership exists by vote or written consent of members representing both 75% or more of the total voting power of the association and at least a bare majority of the votes of members other than the declarant. The declarant being ORA, okay? Well, that implies in paragraph 2 of that paragraph 1 includes ORA. So they had 75%. And how that worked was this.
Okay, Joe, time's up, I'm sorry.
Well,
I
would
would
you like
like-
to hear this or not?
No.
I would like to respond.
It's too late.
We have spent money on attorney's fees because of Joe's concerns on the way this 12.2.7 and the CCNRs is being addressed. In other words, the 444 votes. We have spent hours and hours and hours researching it. I'm an owner here too. I want to see this put to rest. I don't like spending money. I don't like spending hours and hours and hours, nor do I believe the election committee likes spending hours and hours and hours. We're going by rules. We're going by what our attorney says. Joe, you don't get to write letters to the attorney saying, I know what the intent of ORA was, because you don't necessarily know. And they're gone. That doesn't mean you know their intent. They wrote what they wrote, and we have to abide by that until we change it, period.
What I'm saying is that possibly this did pass. See?
The problem is, Joe, that ship has sailed. We're down the road now. You're talking about ancient history stuff that nobody cares about. Really, except for you. Other than that, nobody really cares about
I
it.
wanted to pass
Once again, it's pretty easy to come in and critique every action that the board tries to take in bettering the resort or bettering it for the membership. However, in doing the hours of work and getting there, it's different. I want you guys to really open up your eyes to one thing. The CCNRs have tried to be rewritten for a long time for the better of the membership. They sat on a shelf and collected dust for years. We're in a real close spot to where we can move forward with it, but this is a perfect example in my opinion. We can't even get an amendment voted. So you really think we're going to get a CCR change, a complete CCR change, voted with the small thought process and the narrow vision of, no, it's not the way I want it, so I won't vote it. We're never going to be able to put CCRs together that are going to make everybody happy. And this amendment was straw voted, if you will. Again, a process very critiqued by the membership to try to ensure that we could actually get this done because it costs money. Again, trying to be mindful of your money, the resort's money, and the HOA's money. So we did 2 processes, which actually cost more money, and we still can't even get the ballots in. Okay? It was also argued why we were only given 30 days to get the ballots back in, correct? Okay, that's why we're extending it. We tried to get it done quickly so we could move on and get on to other things. 5 people can only do so much in a day. So the idea is to try to get things done, settled, and move on to the next thing. However, we just keep dragging it out by coming in here and talking about nitrates that were shot down months ago. And apologized by the board and said we made a mistake. We owned it. It wasn't nitrates, it's bacteria. However, the nitrates do come into play because your study doesn't also show that it's got a golf course on it. Everybody wants the grass green, luscious, and the way they bought it. You don't do that without putting nitrates on the ground. So it does all come into play. If you're going to do the research, research on what we live in, not what's ever convenient to get your point across.
Okay, anybody else? Questions? Statements? No?
Could I ask one question that former owner who now rents and lives here, and she couldn't come to the meeting because she's a renter. But she,
But we're gonna answer her question because you wanna ask it for her.
yeah, I want to ask for her. She asked me to ask the question.
Go ahead, Ken.
So the renter still has a say.
They lived here for 8 years or better, and she just converted on a new DSL, and they're paying $65 a month, and it keeps going out. And the IDS people informed her that the reason that it's going out is because there is a cable that was supposed to be dug up or put in by our maintenance. And that they told the maintenance that this needed to be done, or they would continue to have problems with the DSL going down.
No, if I understand it correctly, the problem is it's from Frontier. It's from the street, the highway, into our doghouse. The problem is getting us up on the bandwidth we need to, am I wrong?
Can I address this?
Okay.
There we go.
You're the expert, not me.
Please notice the yellow shirt.
Yes.
Nice shirt.
This is what nitrates do.
So I guess kind of like a straw poll also. How many like DSL? How many like it fast?
Oh, yeah.
How many like it cheap? We're all in the same bucket, folks. And we're doing our very best. There's a lot of things going on that we're running into that we didn't know we would run into. Each one of these homes, each one of these slabs has its own characteristics. Some of them have very poor wiring from one spot to the other. Guilty. I just got mine running, and I was the first one on the board, just got mine running yesterday. So please, please bear with us. It's true that there are some new wiring episodes going to have to take place, like Kay said. It's in the works. It will be probably started as soon as we issue the requirement. Okay? Before we dig up the ground and cost us money, we're going to make sure it's something we haven't overlooked in our wiring. Okay? So if you look at the infrastructure, we're talking about infrastructure. If you look at where all of our wires go, our phone wires, you take the lid off of the top of the can and you pull up. First you have to put your hand in water and pull up this can and then pull the cover off and the water goes out from the cover, and you look at these wires just sitting there broken looking at you. That's what we have here. That was part of that, probably that settlement we got out of ORA from the infrastructure or bad product they put together here. So we're coping with that, we're building as we go, we're learning as we go, and I guarantee if it comes up like mine did yesterday, you'll be kissing on me. That's why I got the yellow shirt.
Thank you. Good thing we had the right guy who gets in here to answer your question. Anybody else? Good. Nope, meeting adjourned. Thank you.